Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something completely different. We're going to go to game. That's right, game. I actually don't really consider going to game normally a retro game hunt or game hunt in general. Ever since it moved into Sports Direct, it's kind of just became a haven for, you know, toys and stuff like that. However, I've got an ulterior motive for this one. I'm on the search for Pokemon cards. Moving into the PlayStation 5 section, and yeah, we have some interesting choices here. First up is Astrobot. Now, Astrobot was generally considered the game of the year for last year, and if I'm perfectly honest, the one that is bundled with the PlayStation 5 console itself is probably the best game I've actually played on that console. I've yet to play Astrobot as the separate release, and the reason being is, well, honestly, I just can't justify full price for PlayStation 5 titles, and the reason why I can't justify them is simply because they drop in price so fast. I've owned a PlayStation 2, 1, 3, 4, all over the years, and all of them have dropped in price very rapidly. PlayStation 5 seems to be a bit of an enigma, however, because the prices aren't dropping rapidly, but they are dropping. I don't know if it's because physical media is kind of on a downtake, and what is actually there is kind of what is there. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not paying 60 quid for a PlayStation 5 game. Simple as that. We've also got this Digimon Time Strangers. Now, I'm going to be honest, the Digimon franchise is fairly beloved by me. I really did enjoy it when it first came out, the original OG series, and I have a lot of fond memories with Digimon World on the PlayStation 1. However, as time's gone by, I do feel like the Digimon games have kind of stagnated a little bit, and I'm going to be honest, Digimon Cyber Sleuth was good, but it was trying too hard to be Persona. I kind of felt that it lost a little bit of its own identity, and I didn't end up finishing the game. But for now, Digimon Time Stranger, yeah, I'm not going to buy it until it's dropped down a little bit. There's not really much else. There's a few little discounted titles here that we can see, but nothing that's kind of grabbing my attention. Nothing I kind of feel like I urgently need to pick up, or I might miss it forever. 2 Point Campus is forever cheap though. It's always cheap, like 2 Point Campus. Nothing really in Pokemon cards. We've got the Advent Calendar, you know, we've got the usual Funko Pops. Yeah, Pokemon cards, they're just hard to find these days, really, aren't they? Nintendo Switch, and we've got a nice little discount section. I did have a look at this one, moving out for £7, but code card. Bayonetta for £14, Bayonetta 3, absolutely bargain. Kirby was cheap as well. In fact, they do seem to have a lot of cheap ones, including this, Risen. Now, Risen is an old 2009 RPG in which you get washed up on the shore of a mysterious island. It plays like a 2009 RPG as well, but it's one that I think that could do well in my Nintendo Switch collection. I have a very soft spot for slightly clunky RPGs that kind of maybe didn't really keep up with the times. But yeah, this is one that I kind of am looking at. The other one as well was Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now, £23 is a decent price. I'm going to pick that one up, no questions asked. Moving into the other section, there's a lot of Lego games I've never heard of. Lego Party, never even heard of that one. Honestly, it's surprising how many Lego games that they keep putting out. I follow like the main movie franchises, but apart from that, nope. Persona Tactics, I do have this on the PlayStation 5 and I got it cheaper from Game itself a while ago. So I'm not going to rebuy it again. At least not at that price. I'll pay £10 for it, but I'm not paying anything more than that. Nothing else really. There was this one as well. Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree, which looks like a JRPG, a lot of JRPG goodness. Now, this was absolutely full price in game, so I wasn't going to pick it up. But it is one that I have added to the list because it looks like it's something that could be quite fun. I do like some of these little bit, I wouldn't say off-brand, but some of these little bit obscure JRPGs where they do have a bit of a unique art style and they do promise something, or at least try to promise something a little bit different. Overall, there wasn't a huge amount of stuff for the Nintendo Switch, but I'm going to pick up those two titles that I've picked up off the shelf. It makes sense. I didn't know there was a Chicken Run game as well. There's a brand new Chicken Run. Now, I do have fond memories of Chicken Run on the PlayStation 1, and I looked into Chicken Run Extraction, and yeah, it's something to capitalise on the most recent movie. It's nothing anything special. It's a bit of a shovelware game, which is a huge shame. That is absolutely a huge shame. The other one I've got a bit of nostalgia for, but I think maybe that is kind of nostalgia more than anything else. Little Nightmares 3 has just came out as well, which is something, and Farming Simulator. You know what it is? I would absolutely buy Farming Simulator games if I saw them cheap enough. I played a bit of one of them at Eurogamer a few years ago, and all I remember doing was taking the tractor, parking it on the railway line, and seeing what happened. It just bounces. The train just crashes into it, and the tractor just bounces off as if there's like no kind of reaction to it whatsoever. Fun times, but yeah, it's one of those games. I can't see myself playing a lot of it, but I'm genuinely interested to see how they play out. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Jump Scare. Yeah, we're going to have a look at the Nintendo Switch section, and honestly, there's not a huge amount. We've got this same cover reprinted that we've had for the last few times that I've entered here. Now, this Shin Megami Tensei was something on my list. However, honestly, when I looked at the box, it just didn't look right to me. It didn't see cover reprinted. I wasn't sure if it was just a really weird colouring on the box itself. I don't see this one too often. However, it is one that is fairly cheap on Amazon. Now, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is actually a title I have on the Nintendo Switch. However, Atlus being Atlus, decided that they were going to re-release the game with all of the content again. Once they released it on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox and Switch again, they re-released the same game with all of the content. I'm going to be honest, that immediately put me off even supporting Atlus games. Metaphor came out a year ago, and I'm looking at it as like, I wouldn't mind playing that. However, I'm not paying full price for that and then to release the full version of the game. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Moving upwards, we've got the usual Mario games, Spyro, Red Dead Redemption, which is always really expensive on the Nintendo Switch in CEX. Now, Red Dead Redemption is going to be an awkward one to pick up in the future because they have actually changed from a cart version to a cord version, which is slightly cheaper. However, you can still buy this brand new on the Nintendo Switch for far less than what CEX is actually offering for it. We have a few others. Rocket League you don't see very often. Pokemon, Sword and Shield. I think like Shield's slightly more rare than Sword is. That just might be me. There was another Digimon Survive. Now, this one, again, is another title I've seen for fairly cheap. I'm fairly sure Game Collection actually have it for in their £10 deals at the moment. Digimon Survive was another Digimon release in which kind of they took away from what they were doing. This is more of a visual novel style title, and from what I believe, it was in development hell for some time. I remember this getting released against Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and people being quite surprised that it just didn't sell whatsoever. This is why I'm not buying Time Strangers. This one is £15 in CEX. It was £15, £20, more or less a month after release. It dropped in price so fast that it felt that it was difficult to justify buying. Moving on, Hello Kitty, Hot Wheels, Brain Training. Now, Brain Training is a game that everybody who had a DS owned. It was probably one of the biggest games of all time. Everybody has seen it. I didn't even realise they actually released it on the Nintendo Switch until recently. £20 is fairly expensive, and it's not a title that I really feel like I need to go back to. I thought it was rather unique to actually see that they actually took the time to release it, but they didn't combine the other one because there is like the Devilish Brain Training, which was released on the 3DS, and it's just quite an oddity to see that Brain Training of all things still exists on the Nintendo Switch, a 20-year-old game at this point, but is somewhat rare on the Nintendo Switch despite being probably one of the most common DS games. Another one, Contra on the Switch. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't grow up with Contra. I don't have any emotional attachment to it. I know it's absolutely beloved by people who, especially Americans, who grew up with the franchise. I didn't. I was actually going to attempt to buy this one until I had a quick look at reviews. Reviews of this one is absolutely appalling. I don't know what it is with Contra as a franchise. It seems to have struggled post Super Nintendo days. I don't know if it's just one of those ones that just worked and then kind of just didn't work later on, but yeah, it's a huge shame to see that. I never have seen the collection. I know they have got a collection of Contra games, which I know the Castlevania one got special editions for, but I've never actually seen the Contra version of it, which is a huge shame. I would actually genuinely pick that one up. Do you have memories of Contra, especially in the UK? Let me know. Mario Golf as well, that's another one that I just haven't picked up, and I don't know why. I mean, Mario Golf on the Switch kind of follows the same routine as Mario Tennis did, in which they released a very bare bones game, and then month after month after month they kept giving free updates. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to buy, if I buy a game on launch, what will happen is I play it on launch and then I'll probably not go back to it. I very rarely buy DLC. For example, I've just recently bought the new Pokemon game. I've went through it, I've completed it. DLC has been announced and I genuinely don't know if I'm going to go back to it. Just because I've kind of like, well, I finished the game. Do I really need to go back to this game when there's a lot of new games coming out? Mario Golf and Mario Tennis followed that process of releasing free updates. But once I was done with Mario Tennis Aces, I just never went back to it. Did you play Mario Golf for the Nintendo Switch? Let me know, what do you guys think of it? Moving into the retro section and a very nice box PlayStation. Now, I'm going to be honest, I came for something specific and we will get to it in a minute because you guys have probably clocked it. But first up, Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. That's an interesting one. Now, this was actually a sequel to Pokemon Puzzle League for the Nintendo 64. It came out just after Pokemon Gold and Silver and was one of the later Game Boy Color titles. Now, in my opinion, this is when Pokemania starts to kind of fade away, and I personally skipped it. I regret it. It is on my list of games to collect for Game Boy, but I'm going to be honest, I want it boxed. Same with Pokemon Pinball. I see them fairly often, but I want them boxed. And moving on, you guys can see it there, Mega Man. Now, this is one of the Mega Man Battle Network titles, I believe. And this was the title I came to the CEX for. And honestly, it looks like it's an absolute shambles. It looks very tinted. There's like a yellow tint to it. It doesn't look right whatsoever. Huge shame. Rest of the retro section isn't exciting at all. But moving into GameCube, and first up, Eternal Darkness. Now, again, this is one that I do want, but I'm not cover reprinted. Otherwise, is today the day I buy SSX Tricky finally for the GameCube? Is it? Do I do it? Do I buy it? Oh, no. PlayStation 5 section, and we have the usual suspects, Call of Duty. Oh, look, we've got Hades. We've got Hades on PlayStation 5. Look how cheap it is compared to the Nintendo Switch version. Wow, what a difference. The Switch version just keeps going up and up. Even when I made that video a few weeks ago, it's just, I think it's increased again in price. Just constantly increasing in price. But yeah, if you want it and you don't care what it's on, PlayStation 5 is where you go for it. Mafia seems to have a fairly substantial amount of stock considering it only came out a few months ago. Not really much else. There's Metaphor. Again, I've seen this cheaper on Amazon and I'm not going to buy it until the full version gets released. Or maybe a Switch 2 version. Suikoden 2, I do want to get Suikoden 2. I want to double dip on that one, but I'm going to wait until I can get it fairly cheap. This one as well. Star Ocean. Now, one of the games that I actually wanted for the PlayStation 5 when I bought it was Star Ocean. And sadly, it didn't get great reviews. So I've ended up putting it on the back burner. But it is one that I'm kind of tempted to pick up for a kind of, just to try it. I mean, it's £10, it's not a huge price, but I'm tempted to find with PlayStation games now, I am trying to buy them when I actually want them. Moving into PlayStation 4, and yeah, we've got a nice little selection here. Again, there's not like anything too special, but it's nice to see something a little bit different. I always find that with PlayStation 4 being a little bit older, we do see a lot of more varied releases and stuff like that compared to what you normally see. But again, there's nothing really catching my eye that I really want to buy. Now, this is one I was tempted with, Mass Effect Trilogy. Now, the Mass Effect Trilogy is absolutely beloved and is generally considered one of the best RPGs of all time. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never actually played it. I think I own it on the PC, but each game on the trilogy is like 100 gigabytes or some ridiculous amount. And I was like, I'm not going to play it because it's going to take far too long to download. I was tempted with this one, just to kind of have it, and at least it's got the trophy support. But I left it. I don't know what it is. Again, it's 3 games in one. I wouldn't say this was an absolutely mind-blowing price, but it was one that I was kind of tempted with picking up anyway. Let me know in the comments if you played it. Does it have a big, massive download, or is it all on disc? That would be a game changer. If it's all on disc, I will definitely pick it up next time. Not much else. Resident Evils, I do kind of want. Red Dead Redemption, I need to pick up at some point, but nothing extra special. Finally, DS and Wii, and it's not a section I really look at often. I don't know why. I just don't have anything I'm looking to pick up. I did see this, Magical Star Sign. Now, Magical Star Sign is actually a game I own, and I picked up way back in the day for super cheap. And I mean, this is 20 years ago. It has increased time and time again. Is it a title worth picking up? Well, it is a turn-based JRPG. And I'm going to be honest, I sank so many hours into this one. However, I'm going to be honest, I can't remember much, if anything, from it. It wasn't a bad game. I enjoyed it. I just kind of felt that it was very kind of ploddy on. I think I sank about 30 hours into it, and I kind of just felt that, I wouldn't say the story was going nowhere. I just felt that there was so little story for the amount of actual content. Maybe I got towards the end of the game, I don't know, but it's one that I think is worth trying, but personally, I couldn't justify £35 for it, especially when you can maybe get a Pokemon game for a similar price. Nothing else really standing out. Even in 3DS, there wasn't like a huge amount of titles that I'm actively looking to get. I do want to get the missing Pokemon games from my collection. There's a few others that I do want to pick up. But yeah, nothing I'm really after. Let's get served and come back and see what I've picked up, shall we? Well guys, the world is possibly ending. In this day, in 2025, I have bought games from Game.
Oh my god!
Now, it's no secret that Game has really struggled with its identity over the last few years. Of course, it was bought and it kind of stopped becoming a place to buy games from. You could always buy some of the latest games, you know, the popular stuff, but it always felt extremely expensive. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't bought a game for some time. In fact, I think the last time I bought a game from Game was actually the Nintendo Switch launch. Yeah. But I just on the off chance went in. I feel like I've been to the CX so many times and I never actually noticed that Game was just opposite. And I was just like, I went in and I went up and I was just like, there's games. There's games. Now, they took away their pre-owned section, which actually hampered a lot of games that they're going to get stock for. But they still have games reduced. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I picked up Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance recently had its sequel and is one of those games that people keep throwing around the words Game of the Year. I watched Gorgura, I believe it was, stream this a few years ago, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. It's basically like a medieval simulator. You play it as kind of like a medieval guy going through the rings and going through the hoops and kind of going up the ranks, and yeah, it's kind of unique in the way it's doing it. Now, is the Switch version worth playing? It's fine. It runs a little bit better on the Switch too. It's one of those ones where I'm kind of like buying these games where they may not work perfectly to try them on the Switch 2 as well. But honestly, I've tested it so far and it seems to be pretty okay. Not as good as the PlayStation 4 or 5 versions, of course, but you know what? A good game on the Nintendo Switch, always nice to pick up. And the next one was one that I don't remember. I don't remember this game. I feel like I've got nostalgia for it, but maybe it was a different game. This is Risen. Now, this was only £9. At the end of the day, an RPG for £9, I'm gonna try it. It might fall spectacularly, but THQ Nordic tend to be fairly decent at some of their releases, like Darkstalkers, I believe. They released that. But this is one that I just didn't know much about, but it looked familiar, and I believe I had one years ago called Risen 2 Dark Waters on the PlayStation 3. So this is an open world action RPG where every action has consequences. It has 60 hours of open world gameplay apparently, and it's basically your traditional Western RPG. Monsters are around, you've got your sword and you've got spells, you're gonna go out and kill them. That's basically what we've got here. I spoke to my brother about it and he said it was a really good game, but yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually try it, but let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Am I getting something, a really nice bargain? I did go to another game shop, which will be in a video soon, and it was there for £9 as well, so it's not one that's going to be relegated to one shop. It does seem that it's going to be a fairly common game. But yeah, speaking of game, I actually bought something else, and this is something that's just a little bit of a throw-in in terms of what I've been picking up, and that is this one, the Pokemon Mega Battle Mega DLC EX deck box. Now, as you guys are well aware, I play the Pokemon TCG. I also somewhat collect. I don't go out of my way, but if I see Pokemon cards, I will pick some up. I'm trying to get full art trainers, so this is something that's just a little bit nice. But this deck actually has, it's got a unique special illustration rare of Bayonetta, but it also has a lot of playable cards, and a lot of playable cards that's going to be in, at the time of recording, a future set, the Charizard Phantasmal Flame set. So it's got a lot of them. It also has 4 of Lily's Determination, which is a card that it's one of those ones that I'm like, it's going to be in every single deck. It's got 4 of them in. When you look online, I mean, it's probably about £7-8 to get a set of 4. So yeah, at the end of the day, if I got that and I'll get this and I'll get a few more cards, it makes the price pretty much worth buying. Just another little by the by. But yeah, this is kind of what I came in for. That's why I went into the game, because I knew last time that they did have these. They didn't have the Gengar one. The Gengar one went straight out of stock pretty much immediately apparently, which is a shame, but hey, can't have everything. But after that I went to CEX. So CEX was interesting because I always get hits after hits there, and surprisingly the hits had actually dried up a little bit. There wasn't a huge amount there, especially for Nintendo Switch, that I was really excited for. I just kind of I was going to CEX anyway. There was a title I kind of had my eye on, and that was that Mega Man game for the Game Boy Advance. And you guys probably said to me, you probably guys shouted it out on the stream, looking at that. It was absolutely minging. It looked really sun faded. Like the box looked really like kind of had like a brown tint to it. It looked like it'd been, I don't know, either covered in oil or just kind of like, there was something really not quality for that box, and especially it was a box Game Boy Advance game for £80 in such a bad condition. I wasn't going to go anywhere near it. But I did see a title that I have been meaning to pick up, I have been meaning to pick up a copy of, and that title is Bayonetta 2. Now, this one's going to have a little bit of an annoyance for me, because if you look at the spine, what does it say? Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 1 is a DLC code. So I thought, oh, there's a reversible cover. Yeah, Bayonetta. So you can't just have a box that just says Bayonetta 2 on the spine. Annoying. But Bayonetta 2 is originally a Wii U title, and I'm going to be honest, I never ever played this. I own Bayonetta 1. I played through Bayonetta 1 like twice. I played it on the PlayStation 3. Then I played it on the Wii U. I just never got around to Bayonetta 2, despite it being one of the best games on the console. Bayonetta 3 came out, and if you guys maybe saw the game clip, they had Bayonetta 3 for quite cheap, brand new. Which triggered me into remembering that I wanted to pick up Bayonetta 2. Because I had it, and I had it for fairly cheap, this one brand new is going for quite an expensive amount. That's simply because it's got Bayonetta 1 in there. But it's a DLC code, so because it's CEX, it's not included. But me being physical, I love physical releases. So what am I doing? What was my plan? Well, my plan was always to get Bayonetta 1 as a physical release anyway. You can still import it from the Asian territories. So that's my plan. At the end of the day, I want physical for all three of them. It's not much more to get a physical version of Bayonetta 2 plus Bayonetta 1 physically than it is to get the Bayonetta 2 plus DLC code brand new. It is what it is. But yes, Bayonetta 2 is a title that I've had a lot of hype for. I'm gonna sink some time into it because I've heard nothing but great things. I really enjoyed the first one so much. It still is one of the best PlayStation 3 titles. It was one of the very first PlayStation 3 titles I picked up as well, but yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for that. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Have you checked it out? What do you think? What do you think of Bayonetta 3 as well? Because I feel like that one was a little bit more kind of lukewarm in response, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. And last but no ways least, we've done it. We have done it. 160 Nintendo 64 games into my collection. I am really excited to show this one off because it's not a rare game. This is probably the most common N64 game. This is the N64 game that just about every single CEX selling N64 games is probably going to have. If you walk into a retro game shop, they're going to have this. It's just one that I just never ever picked up. That title is Top Gear Rally. Now, I have picked up Top Gear Rally 2 and Top Gear Rally Overdrive, or Top Gear Overdrive on the N64, and honestly, these are really fun, arcade-ish racing games. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a racing game guy, but Top Gear as a release always felt really nice. I always felt like they were really good releases, and you know what? This was 15 quid. Boxed. It's not the most perfect box, but looking at it, you look at the front, you can't really see many problems with it. It's got the manual inside as well, but honestly, this is one that I've been really excited for. I love the back of it as well. This game will drive you up a wall, off a bridge, through a guardrail, and straight into a concrete abutment. It kind of advertises itself as extreme racing, but there's something really nice about it. It is a really fun game. I have sat down and played this for... I've sat down and played for a lot. I played for about 15-20 minutes, and honestly, I just had so much of a good time just playing it, even at the time. I mean, of course, a lot of these N64 games, they haven't aged well. They haven't aged well at all. But to sit down and have a game that you can sit and just have a really good time with, always nice, and to get it in a very nice physical box, it's always an addition. It's not one that's rare, it's not one that's hard to find, it's not one that's expensive. 15 quid for a box N64 game, especially one that I consider to be pretty good. always a nice. Always nice. So guys, what do you think? So guys, what do you think? Is game worth going back to in 2025? Honestly, it's worth a pop in. If you've got a game local to you, they are selling off a bunch of their brand new stock, and you can find the odd bargain. This, and it's a little bit of a spoiler warning, this is not the last time I'll be buying from Game. Keep tuned. There will be another excursion to another game shop very shortly, and I pick up another game. But even then, CEX, Washington's starting to get a little bit dry, so I think I'm going to try and avoid going to Washington for a few months now. Washington's one of those ones, it's local to me, so it's always easy to go to. So I always enjoy it, but I am starting to notice now, like, it's starting to see the same things. There's not much new stock coming in, but plenty of old stuff. Christmas is coming though, so a lot of people will be trading in games. So I'm going to keep an eye out and see what pops up. We might have a random excursion here and there. I might just add it onto another video, or maybe go to Galaxy Games again or something like that. And if you haven't already checked out the video for Galaxy Games, it is going to be up here. Absolutely fantastic retro game shop in the northeast. Make sure you check it out and go give them a visit. And if you like this, leave a like. If you didn't, dislike it, whatever. I'll subscribe if you want to see more. See you over there.